Now, Nigel Farage, the leader, of course, of Reform UK, has welcomed the Home Secretary's plans to fix what she's called a broken asylum system. Mr Farage even offered Shabana Mahmood the chance to join his party, to which she told him to sod off. And at 10 o'clock this morning, Reform will be laying out their plans to fix the country's finances. Well, Zia Yusuf, who is head of policy at Reform UK, joins us now. Great to have you on the programme, Zia. And I'm very keen to find out your kind of alternative budget plans. But if I may, I did want to get your response first to the asylum row that's been kind of bubbling up. Shabana Mahmood faced a pretty fierce backlash from a lot of her own MPs. Would she be welcome in your party?
Well, as Nigel has said, if she really believes it, and who knows, maybe she does, Shabana Mahmood really does want to stop the boats. If she actually wants to do it, then you can go to reformparty.uk/defections. You can fill out a form. Look, jokes aside, we've heard this before. When I read about this in the papers on Sunday evening, I said what Shabana Mahmood was doing as Sunak. And what I mean by that is, if you remember, Sunak is one of many senior ministers, indeed prime ministers in this case, who set themselves the goal. In fact, Sunak said it was one of his KPIs as prime minister. He was going to stop the boats. And what happened? He ended up with more boats coming. That's exactly what we've seen with Labour too. It simply will not work unless you leave the ECHR, which she's not willing to do. Labour will never countenance that, and also derogate from a whole multitude of international treaties, at least on a temporary basis, until so that deportations can actually happen. It's not just about stopping the boats, it's about deporting the people who are already here in this country illegally. And we've already seen, I think the last count is 17 Labour MPs publicly condemn these plans. Some of those MPs have called their own Home Secretary racist. So sadly, we're in this exact same situation. We've heard it before. It's rhetoric. She hasn't even brought the bill to Parliament. One phrase we haven't heard in a really long time is smash the gangs. Do you remember that? We don't hear about any gang smashing anymore. And the reason for that is because obviously it didn't work. And the Borders Bill, Labour's Borders Bill, which they introduced in January, still has not passed. So the British people are sick and tired of these half measures. The only way to stop the boats is to do what we laid out in our plan, which was to leave the ECHR, derogate from those international treaties.
OK, I'm interested to hear your take on Shabana Mahmood's response in the Commons to the Lib Dem spokesperson, who is white, accusing her of stoking division. She said, "I wish I had the privilege of walking around this country and not seeing the division that the issue of migration and asylum system is creating across this country. Unlike him, unfortunately, I am the one that is regularly called," and then she uses a racist expletive, "and told to go back home." I just wondered your reflections on what she said there.
Look, obviously, that's a horrible thing to happen to anyone, and one sympathises with Shabana Mahmood. I will say this, though, that I take something of exception to the notion that should be the reason why she suddenly appears to have had this Damascene conversion and thinks that now immigration is a really important issue, because what it implies is that racism is at the heart of why immigration is an issue in this country. And that's just simply not the case. People voted. The Tories promised to bring net immigration, legal immigration.
Do you think that's what she's saying? Do you think that's what she's saying?
No, I'm saying.
It felt to me like she was saying that she understands, the kind of division that a failed policy is causing, which is a bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, but the point I am making is that there are people in this country, millions and millions of people, who have been deeply frustrated and indeed angry about levels of legal immigration, levels of illegal immigration. They voted for less immigration in 4 consecutive elections, which the Tories won, and then did the opposite of what they promised. So the point I'm making is that the reason why Reform have been campaigning for years, I've been campaigning on this issue around immigration, legal and illegal, for decades, has nothing to do with racism or racist slurs, but rather the rule of law, the idea that British people deserve to have borders, they deserve to have borders upheld. And the only reason, by the way, that we spend more than £50 billion a year on our defence budget, a lot of that on a Royal Navy, and yet must accept our borders being breached by unarmed men in dinghies every day, is total political failure.
You are presenting an alternative budget today. What's it going to look like?
Well, what we're saying is the British state exists to serve the British people. And so if tough decisions need to be made, we always hear that refrain from the political class. We've identified £25 billion of savings and revenue, which is enough to cover the black hole that Rachel Reeves has created and negate the need for tax rises. Almost all of those impact foreign nationals rather than British citizens. So to run through them quickly, number one, dramatic reduction in foreign aid, reducing that by north of 75%. Number two, ending welfare payments for foreign nationals. Just the universal credit component of that alone, that's the only place where we actually get data from the government. They hide all the rest. That would save $6 billion this year alone. And then meaningfully increasing the immigration health surcharge. That is the annual fee that certain visa holders pay to access the NHS. By the government's own impact assessment, there is a 62% discount, effectively, that foreign nationals get when paying that relative to the true per-person cost of the NHS. You make those changes and a couple of others, including our PIP reforms we've already announced, that gets you to £25 billion. And so therefore, when Rachel Reeves inevitably raises taxes, she's choosing not to do that.
Just to jump in if I can, because look, you guys are kind of positioning yourselves as like the sort of serious party that could form the next government, right? That's what it's all about. You said that you'll save £10 billion from foreign aid, and you've highlighted 52 million to a so-called road to nowhere in Guyana, 90 million to help Pakistan stop child exploitation, 100 million to Pakistan for family planning. So that's 171 million. I mean, I guess my question is, you're kind of highlighting some of the easier choices here, when if you're real, you need to be talking about the difficult choices as well. You can't just cherry pick the things that will be easy when it comes to foreign aid.
We highlighted just a handful of the most egregious examples. And as I said, while Labour was resisting a statutory inquiry into the grooming gangs, they were sending millions of pounds to Pakistan.
But you accept there'll be more difficult decisions on foreign aid that you haven't been highlighting, right?
Yeah, and we've been crystal clear that we would cut not just those programs, we would reduce foreign aid by north of 75% until the state finances on a firm footing. How can it be justified?
If you're trying to bring people along,
paying their taxes?
I guess my argument is, if you're trying to bring people with you on that massive reduction to foreign aid, don't you need to be upfront about what it will also mean? Because it's not just going to be, 52 million for a road to nowhere. There will be some other projects that will be harder to stomach, right?
Yeah, I think. Look, in the end, if quote difficult decisions need to be made for too long, the foreign aid budget, which last year, by the way, £14 billion it amounted to, and British people are being asked to pay ever more taxes. We're being really clear with British people. To the degree difficult decisions need to be made, we will prioritise British citizens. I know that seems like quite a novel and remarkable thing these days in Westminster, but the British state exists to serve British people, and we're going to ask foreign nationals to bear the brunt of the changes that need to be made to get the state finances on firm footing. And the fact that Labour are going to raise taxes inevitably in this budget is them effectively saying they want to continue to pay money to foreign nationals and prioritise them over British ones.
OK, Zia Yusuf, thank you very much for being on the programme today. Thank you.